Hello, my precious. It's your friend Smeagol. We like it when you train us and feed us what we need. Unlike the fat one that beats us and is mean and cruel to poor Smeagol. Smeagol wants to please you and be strong and healthy. But we can't. When the fat one hates us, gives us junk and tells us we're bad. Give Smeagol the maps, and we'll take you where you want.
Follow Smeagol through the gates of Mordor and acquire that precious new body you've always fantasized about. Try our Maps Super Bundle today over at mindpumpmedia.com.
If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this neighborly episode of Mind
Won't you be
Pump.
my neighbor?
Remember Trolley?
Yeah.
Ching, 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 ching. I forgot all about that. We start out the episode by talking about the documentary about Mr. Rogers.
You have to watch this, please. I think everybody should watch this.
Was Captain Kangaroo part of it?
No,
he was different.
No.
You know, it's funny too that this thing can. If you look at the reviews, it's stellar reviews, but you just didn't hear much about it,
dude.
Didn't get a lot of pub.
Best documentary I've seen in a long time,
ever for me, dude.
Yeah.
It was. There's not a lot of documentaries that I get teary eyed because I'm watching it.
It's really good. Then we talk about how California is becoming a stoner's paradise.
Yeah, bro.
You could apparently play video games, order your pizza to your door, and now, if you live in California, you can order weed to your door
on demand
through one of our sponsors, Eaze, EAZE. If you go to eaze.co/mindpump and use the code mindpump, you'll get $20 off your cannabis order and free delivery. Then we talk about Justin's upcoming trip.
Yeah.
And his golfing in Scotland. You're going to be going to Ireland and Scotland, right?
Ireland and Scotland, yeah.
It's good stuff. You're too tan for it now, though.
I'm going to stick out. Yeah.
Now, we do have a golf guide. It's available at mindpumpfree.com. And if you go to our YouTube channel, Mind Pump TV, we have Brandon Harris teaching you movements to improve your golf game. We also talk about a surprise on Monday. Our new Maps program will be launching on Monday. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
Then we talk about Adam's newfangled high-tech TV. That guy's always getting the newest stuff. We do a Thrive Market unboxing. Doug orders us some stuff from Thrive Market. They are the largest online retailer of non-GMO organic products, including cleaning products, including hair products, including pet food and pet products. Pretty cool. If you go to thrivemarket.com/mindpump, you will get 1 month free membership, $20 off your first 3 orders of $49 or more, and free shipping. And then we talk about Ben Greenfield, our good friend. He sent us his Keon bars.
Thank you, buddy.
That are made with...
They're delicious.
Damn, it's not quinoa, it's kaniwa.
Kaniwa!
Anyway, the bars are really good. If you go to getkion, getkion.com/mindpump, you should be able to, I think we get to give you a discount. If you don't, doesn't matter. Buy them from anyway. Good stuff. Then we get into the questions. The first question was, after you get really lean for like a competition or summer, how do you mentally prepare or deal with the idea of gaining weight? Your body's going to gain a little body fat. How do you handle that?
It's real easy.
Next question was, what do we think of the Arnold Press and what are some of our favorite exercises for building the delts? We talk about some of our favorite movements and also why we like the Arnold presses, and it's one of our favorite exercises for the shoulders. And the next question was, when's the best time to implement sauna and cold therapy use? So the sauna, it's got some benefits, health benefits, potentially some muscle building and fat burning benefits. And then cold therapy, same, immune boosting, can stimulate the central nervous system, get you to release norepinephrine. When's the best time to use them? Pre-workout, post-workout, rest days, morning, night? Find out in this episode.
Give me the playbook.
And the last question, do we think the younger generation is becoming less and less connected?
There's no hope for them.
To religion? Oh, we get all controversial in that part.
Just look at The Last Jedi. I mean, it explains everything.
Also, we have new bundles. brand new maps bundles, all kinds of different ones. We have a 40, it's what's called a Fabulous 40 bundle. This is for people who are 40 or older. We have a Fit Mom bundle, which is kind of cool. We have a Get Shredded Quickly bundle where we combine multiple maps programs and discount them. You can find all these bundles and our individual maps programs on our new maps site.
Ooh, so pretty.
mapsfitnessproducts.com. Go check it out.
Dun, da, 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 da.
Ready? Bro, it's a...
Was that obnoxious enough?
Hey, tell me, you just watched the Mr. Rogers.
Ah, damn it! I told Courtney we were gonna watch that. We didn't. Sorry, man.
Oh my god, bro.
You guys were raving about it. I haven't seen it.
I know you guys so well. When I give recommendations to you guys to listen to, just have faith in your boy.
I watched the other one though.
Oh, you did watch Rules of Engagement?
Yeah.
Okay,
it was funny. I mean, that was like old school. I didn't think it was like an old school kind of like sitcom.
Oh,
though.
it gets better, dude.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sexist. Yeah, it's totally. That's great.
It's ramping up a little bit.
No, Mr. Rogers was insane.
Epic.
He's a brilliant communicator, child communicator.
Well, you said you're like moved and like.
I cried.
Yeah.
I cried.
So we were texting back and forth, and he told me how good it was, and I said, "Bro, it was so good." I said, "I got emotional watching it." So Katrina fell asleep, and I stayed up watching. I was so enthralled by it.
Yeah.
And I got choked up a few times. And I'll tell you why. Even just thinking about it gets me a little choked up. Just one of the things I grew up in, with 7 years old on, I was introduced to, Christianity and many other denominations, and I saw a lot of hypocrisy. So I have a really bad taste in my mouth about religion in general, and a lot of the people, and I guess less of religion, a lot of the people that are within a lot of religion.
Yeah. Like the institution of it.
Yeah, right. So that's probably a good way to say it. And so when I see someone like him who I watched as a kid, and I see what he did, and I had no idea that he was going to be an ordained minister, and that's what he was on pace for. And to me, that's really what Christianity or religion, any good religion, is all about. Is it's more about what he was doing than professing. Like he never professes.
Nobody knew it.
Yeah, nobody knew it. But what he was doing, the kindness that he did, and the amount of lives that he probably saved and potentially impacted, is probably greater than most men
His
ever.
actions reflected his morals and his beliefs.
Well, he was such a brilliant child communicator. Like, for example, okay, and I'm when I'm watching his stuff, and I watched him when I was a kid too, and when you're watching the documentary, you realize how different his show was and how different he was in the way he communicated to kids versus how everybody else communicates to kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch cartoons or TV that's aimed at children, it's quick cuts, it's fast paced, it's boom, man, this is funny, whoa, yeah, everything's changing all over the place. It's crazy.
Yeah.
When you watch Mr. Rogers, he's communicating to the child, he's saying good messages, and it's slow. And that's an important one, because there was a part
there's a part where they talk about that he intentionally would do that.
he would create silence.
Yes, that he loved that.
Because he to teach the children how to be okay with being with themselves and to
Right.
think. So one of the clips that they showed in the documentary, which I thought was brilliant from a child standpoint, as he said, "Okay, children, you guys ever wonder how long a minute takes?" And he goes,
so good.
he goes, "Let's watch the counter for 1 minute so we know how long it takes."
He turns the timer 1 minute and then sits in silence.
And the kids,
on air.
And the kids are watching the timer. And you know what's funny? I know as a kid I would have watched it the whole time because I would have been curious.
Yeah.
How long is a minute? Let me watch this thing count down a minute and sit quietly.
But meanwhile, like producers and everyone, like, oh my god, all this dead air,
Oh, that's
like,
they talk
freaking
about
out about
they talk
it.
about it in the thing, how like that it was like this common theme that everybody was like, it drove them all crazy. Like,
Yeah.
but he loved to because like Sal said, there was intention behind what he was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like he was lost for words or he
No.
was like he felt that it was an important lesson to teach these kids to be okay with moving slow and being appreciative of being by themselves in time and
wow,
present.
what a lost art.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there was,
crazy.
Oh my God.
And it's funny. There's so much in the documentary. He has this eclectic staff of people that work for him to help make the show possible. Like one dude is this kind of rough, biker looking guy, cusses a lot, whatever. He's got this other African-American gay dude that works for him, which, by the way, when Mr. Rogers, being a minister,
1968, by the way,
finds out the guy's gay, he basically tells him, I love you the way you are. And then the dude started crying when he was talking about it. He goes, I don't realize, you were singing to me when you were singing I love you the way you are. And he goes, yeah, I've been doing that for the last several years.
Yeah, 2 years. He said he was singing to him, and he put it together after 2 years.
And he's like, wow, you were singing to me. I mean, it gave me the chills to talk about. The scene that blew me the fuck away, though, was during this period of time, you had the Nixon administration was coming in the office, and they were threatening to cut funding for public television. Okay, that's a whole different discussion. Nonetheless, Mr. Rogers was a TV show that was on PBS, so it was entirely funded through taxpayers. It wasn't funded any other way, and so they were going to cut it. And so what he had to do is he had to go before Congress to appeal to them to try and stop cutting of the funding. Now, before that, there were several people and I can't remember the guy's name. There was one dude that basically had to decide, one guy in government. And there were several people that went before this guy and pleaded for them. No, the kids need this, and we need this, and and he shot them all down.
Yeah.
Then he said, "I'll listen to one more person." Basically, he's like, "I'm not going to change my mind, but I'll listen."
But
to one
even
more
before he says that, he says like, just please do not read a 12-minute long paper or whatever. He tells him like no more, and Mr. Rogers has prepared a long
of course.
So Fred Rogers goes over there and basically, I'm not going to do it justice. You have to watch the documentary, but tells him what he says to children. Like, this is the message I'm trying to tell children, and he says it to him, but he says it to him as if he's saying it to a child. Which you think
he sings it to him.
He sings it to him.
Yeah, in Congress. Like, literally,
he thinks he's like going to be patronizing.
The man, the same guy who was like, no, we're canceling it. You guys shut up. All these teachers talking to him. Everybody's pleading. He's like, no. Mr. Rogers sings this song to him, and the man, you could tell, almost starts crying, and he goes, and he stops, and he goes,
enough said.
He goes, well, that was just beautiful. That was beautiful. Enough said. We're going to keep it. And you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
It worked. Changed his mind like that.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Such a fucking good.
Well, what I thought was really fascinating too, and why I was glad you watched it so we could kind of discuss it is, one, he's in it. He starts it in 1968, and this is really the boom of television. Television is becoming everyone's starting to get them in their homes, and the consumption of it, right? It reminds me a lot of what we're seeing as far as the consumption of social media now, right? Yeah. That didn't exist in our time, right? We were around on the creation of it, and we are now watching the explosion of it. You are not a 12-year-old right now, or 15-year-old, let's say, is a better age, because maybe 12-year-olds are getting policed by parents. 15-year-old, and you do not have a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or one of those, like YouTube, or one of those accounts, right? So this explosion of social media, and he saw this in television, and he had this major concern because he saw what a powerful tool this new medium was. Never before have we been able to create communities of people all over the world through this centralized boob tube. And he saw that as such a powerful tool, and a potentially dangerous one if we weren't careful with the message that we were giving children.
And he wanted to give kids. He thought kids needed a better message. He thought they needed to be spoken to differently. They need to be. He said their feelings. One thing that he says is children's feelings are just as powerful as adults' feelings, and so we need to consider them and take them into account. Something I didn't know about the Mr. Rogers TV show. It was extremely controversial. He would actually tackle real problems like assassination. There was an assassination that happened in the nation at the time. I forgot who it was.
Kennedy, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know. I forgot who it was. But he's gonna talk about it with the puppets, because he says the way you can communicate with puppets is more effective. You can say certain things that maybe you can't say as an adult. So he talked about that. He talked about divorce, because divorce was skyrocketing.
Oh, wow.
He talked about war. He talked about all these, but he did it through the
story.
But he also didn't sugarcoat it.
Right.
Like, he would say things like, what's assassination? And then the little, cat puppet is talking to the king puppet and whatever. And I did not know that he tackled those things.
I watched it and was obviously I consumed it and was into it. It sucked me in as a child, and I had no idea what I was being taught watching it. Looking back now, I'm like, whoa, how brilliant was that? Like,
Yeah.
he literally was handling shit that is going on in the
Bro.
adult world. He is now communicating it so kids can understand it. And like, what a power. Now, if you're a parent and you do a good job of doing that, kudos to you. I think that's why as parents, I think you're supposed to do that. But let's be honest, a good majority of parents probably are not paying attention to the news that the kids are also seeing and consuming, and then sitting down every night and going like, hey son, let me talk to you about all these riots that we just saw, or this police shooting that let me explain. Like, they're not doing that.
It's
like, there's
important.
a lot of them are not doing that.
It's important. It's important to do so. But I tell you, dude, you will get them, especially if you have a soft, like I do when it comes to children. I have a real soft spot.
Oh,
so
yeah. I'm sure it'll affect me.
Oh, bro, you see the way he talks to the kids, and the kid's face lights up. And then there was this one kid who was in a wheelchair who had terrible condition, so most of his body was atrophied. And he talks to the kid like he doesn't talk down to him. He has a conversation with him, and the kid hugs him, and they sing together about that you're special just because you are who you are, not because of your hair, not because of your fancy chair, whatever. And they sing the song, and you're watching this, and you're just like, if you don't cry, you're not a fucking human, man. I was watching, Jessica's looking, she's like wiping her face, and she looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It was a pretty damn good documentary. Highly recommend.
Well, we definitely need that for social media. I mean, there's just nothing out there I know of that has that kind of moral like fabric and structure, like out there that the people are putting out.
You
there.
have to. I mean, the powerful tools, and
it's
so
very powerful.
It can be used. It's very influential, and so I hate it when people say things like, "Video games and TV shows and music don't influence kids." At the same time, we're spending billions of dollars in advertising to get people to do certain things. Of course, all these things influence kids. It's so stupid when people argue that. When we don't know. Video games don't influence children. Well, fucking they do. You might not know
storylines. They put directly in there to get you immersed in the game.
You know what? That is actually something that I wanted to look into statistic-wise after watching that show was the difference in consumption as a consumer, as an American, from the 70s to now. Because he makes that kind of argument too or makes that point of, all of a sudden these kids are getting marketed to and advertised at 5-6 years old, which before that never happened. Like, a kid doesn't pick up a newspaper or a magazine and get advertised to, where now we have this new medium that they're watching cartoons or their show, and then all of a sudden they showed this in the documentary, it cuts to commercial and it's toy guns and they're pretending to shoot each other, and then the gun comes out of the TV and it lands in the kid's lap, and the cat's like, yeah, no, it's totally right. And then the kid's all, oh my God, I want that, and that is, our generation, right? So as kids, we were in, has that turned us all into this, and you hear the sayings like the keeping up with the Joneses, and we're so driven by all these things, right? Like, man, was that a big turning point for us that caused that? Like, was it pre 68? Was it less? Like, did people care less about having things and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And has that exploded? And was that part of the
I'm
reason?
sure.
Was from our childhood all the way on, we've been marketed to having all these things.
Heavily
I think so.
marketed to.
Well,
It's ingrained in my brain. I mean, I remember all the fucking jingles for every single commercial I've ever experienced as a kid. It was just so impactful.
Yeah. The big thing for me was just the pace of his show. It was so popular, but the pace was slower, and he talked to the kids. And when you watch all TV shows for kids today, the pace is so fast, and they're on their own devices, their own electronic devices. Their fucking attention is being split into 50 million different pieces, and on top of it, they're not moving and not active. I mean, of course, you're going to have a shit ton of ADD and ADD. I mean, it's just insane. I know how I get when I'm watching shit all the time versus when I sit quietly by myself outside or something like that. It's very, very different. So that was a big one for me. Anyway, you were saying, Justin, how California now is becoming like a stoner's paradise.
Yeah, it is. Think about this, right? I know some of my stoner friends growing up, and as far as that, I mean, that was a big stigma. It was they're always at home playing video games, they're smoking, and you can't get them out of the house to do anything, whatever. Now think about this. there's jobs specifically to play video games, right? to do things from your house. You can literally call, get pizza to come, deliver, and now you can even get weed to come right to your doorstep. How beautiful is this? This is like utopia.
Isn't that crazy?
It is kind of a crazy 180 that we've made, because it wasn't that long ago. Was it, there was such a stigma around it, and it was, illegal. You couldn't even have it. Now, not only can
It's
you have
almost
it,
absurd
it
to
can
think
be,
about. Yeah.
Right, it can be brought to you already.
You know what trips me out? So now we have like companies like Ease, right? Ease is one of our new sponsors, and they deliver cannabis to your door. 30 years ago, that would have got you thrown in jail for a long time.
Right.
That must be weird for someone like you, Doug, because you grew up during the most harsh prohibition
during the
of cannabis.
roaring 20s.
Yeah, no. During the Roman days. No, you. It must be weird to you to see this,
like cars and vehicles.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Airplanes.
All these like flying objects.
No, it must be strange to see like branded cannabis products, jars with labels, nice and clean, and they bring it to you in a bag to your door. That must be fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, after doing that 5 years of time at the big house, I'm a little pissed off
for carrying an ounce. For carrying an ounce of weed. That's what's even crazier too. Is how many people are imprisoned over some bullshit.
Dude,
like that.
I took home those edible gummies that we had getting.
You took them? Okay,
yeah,
I was going to.
I got to keep them from you.
It's fine.
I took home those edible gummies that we ordered, and they were 5 milligrams THC, 5 milligrams CBD. Yesterday, Jessica and I were at Santana Row. Actually, had a great day yesterday. We got up, or I don't know if you guys ever do this. Got up early, and we're like, let's go get coffee. So we drove to get coffee through the drive-thru, and then I'm like, I don't want to go home. Let's go on a drive. So let's go to 17 Mile Drive. On the way to 17 Mile Drive, we're driving through Morgan Hill. I'm like, let's look at some new houses out here. So the whole day was totally
unplanned,
unstructured.
Yeah.
By the way, Morgan Hill, after looking at that and driving around the town, and I've been there enough times, I think that's the place to be, man.
I really do. You like it,
bro? It'd be rad if we all moved there,
bro. It's
that would persuade me to go that way.
You get more house for the cost, and it's San Jose's getting too fucking city. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's too city. Yeah. Morgan Hill's got a better feel.
Backdoor you guys through Hecker Pass, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, we're doing all that, and I took one of these gummy edibles, and we went to Santana Row, and I ate the edible. We're at Santana Row. We're sitting at, I think it was Left Bank, and the contest is over. So I'm like, I'm gonna have a drink or whatever. Yeah. So order a nice glass of wine, and I hadn't eaten much during the day because we were looking at houses and stuff in Morgan Hill. I start drinking that, and I'm starting to get a buzz off of one glass of wine already. Sure. Forgot that I had taken the edible. So I'm already
here it comes.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm getting a little tipsy. Boom! Edible hits me. Oh boy, good times.
Little double whammy.
Double whammy. So Santana Row.
I did the same thing, not with the edible though. So I was over at my family, Katrina's family, my brother-in-law and nephew and niece and stuff, and hanging out with all of them, and we were barbecuing. And it was cool because my brother-in-law heard the episode already, and he said he ordered on Ease already too. So he's like, "Oh, dude, I heard the new sponsor, man. We called."
I have 5 friends that were like so stoked.
Oh yeah. No. So I'm really excited about the campaign because I knew that we'd. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's only in California, but we have enough people connected to us in California that I figured, why would you not use this company? They go to your favorite dispensaries. They pick it up to you. It's delivered. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were there, and we were playing ping pong and hanging out. And my brother comes over and brings me a Moscow Mule. And he's like, hey, your competition's over. And he brings me the Moscow Mule. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't planning on it, but I'll have some. Man, I only had half of that thing, and I felt so. God, dude, I'm so sensitive to alcohol. It's crazy, because I don't drink as it is, and then being lean and haven't had it in a while, and I'm sure he's got a heavy hand. Yeah, like halfway through that thing, dude. And I'm playing ping pong barefoot on the concrete, and so right now, if I were to take my socks off, you guys would see these big ass fucking Band-Aids that I have.
What happened?
You have massive blisters on my fucking feet right now. It's like an ass
playing hard, huh?
You're a little too competitive.
Yeah. Well, I'm very competitive, and so are they.
His feet were like super shifty.
It is not like normal ping pong over there. There's serious shit talking going on and yelling over like where it's scored.
And you're already tipsy.
Yes, yeah. So I just was numb to the idea, but my feet were like, I thought they were burning because of the sun on the concrete, not because they were getting blistered up.
No, you're here Fred Flintstoning it.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's
Bro,
so,
how big of pussies have we become that if we walk or do anything barefoot, our feet get shredded?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever like hunter gatherers? They could freaking.
Oh, well, we walked on pillows forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These cushy soles.
As a kid, we used to, and this was something we used to do. We used to race barefoot on gravel. So as a kid,
I can't even stand on gravel.
So as a kid, because we grew up in the country, right? So and we had this little doughboy pool outside, and it was very normal to not wear shoes and just play outside in the dirt and the rocks. And I think back to that, like how conditioned my feet were outside compared to now, where like this little thing all blistered up, and now I feel I'm in all this pain today. Where as a kid, we used to do foot races on our gravel driveway, and I think like, oh my god, I walked over some, like the ping pong ball went rolling over into some gravel yesterday, and I remember walking across. It's like, yeah, dude, it's like, wow, we are so deconditioned to that.
That's
man.
me every time we go creek walking. I'm just like, I gotta get like shoes, otherwise I'm done. All these little jagged edges and rocks.
You mean that nerd with the water shoes?
Yeah.
Look at my water socks. Hey guys.
That's what I'll be wearing.
Yeah.
You took those, didn't you?
I did. I took the ones that I don't know what company sent them to us.
Yeah,
They weren't very attractive, but they feel comfortable. I think I'm going to wear them
the
on
platypus feet.
Yeah, when I go to Hawaii or whatever.
There you go.
Speaking of which, Justin, you're going to be gone,
Woo!
bro.
Yeah, man.
Gone.
I know. This is quite crazy. It hasn't really hit me yet, like completely, but
So parents are watching the kids.
Both parents. So like her parents, my parents, we got split time. They're all set up, and that's where a lot of the stress. Because Courtney's just like making sure like everything is dialed for every day. They have like a list of like every scenario, and I'm like, they're professionals. They were parents once too. It's gonna be all right. Yeah, but yeah, really, it's just about like making sure everybody's good and accounted for. But we're super, super excited, man. I mean, this is going to be like an adventure, and it's really just like that reconnection and, more equity back in the relationship, we have, and we've done this for 10 years. Like we need a new experience together to share. So that was the thought going into it.
Do you have any friends or family out there that you're going to visit?
Not a lot, but we do have some in Ireland that I might connect with. But I mean, that's sort of loosely planned. Really, this is just about us like going on, checking out castles and like really just like getting into the history and like looking at everything. And I can't wait. I might even golf while I'm there. So that was like a thing. Because, dude, if you're gonna golf, you want to golf in Scotland.
I have no idea. Is that supposed to be like?
Yeah, that's where it came from. That's where.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
have you guys never seen the Robin Williams like stand up when he goes into the creation of golf?
No.
Oh, when we're over after this podcast, we will YouTube that and watch that because it's one of my favorite pieces to all of his stand up. He goes on how golf was invented, and it's hilarious. We'll watch afterwards.
I'm trying to convince Courtney to get into it, but it's. I like golf. I like going and walking the course and like at my own pace, and I'm not good at it, but it's like I like to just play. That's one of those like leisure things I like to do.
And we have that golf series up right on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we had Brandon Harris over from PFS, and he did a really fantastic job at breaking down like mobility and things to really enhance your game even further, and breaks it down nicely.
Can you bring back some kilts for us?
They're expensive.
Oh, are they really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're real expensive. I would it depends. Like if I just got you a real chintzy one, it'd be almost like getting you a schoolgirl, skirt or something.
The real ones
the real ones are like, they're expensive. But I'm debating on getting one for myself, but I'm definitely going to bring back some whiskey. So we're gonna pour, one that there's distilleries there that actually I'm gonna go on tour, and then at the end you bottle your own. Which I'm really excited about.
Bro, you guys are gonna party hard. When's the last time?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
When's the last time you and your wife had a prolonged period of time without any other responsibilities but yourselves?
Yeah, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I was to say, bro.
Yeah, right?
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what's gonna happen. That's what's so great. Like this is like totally adventure city.
Have you set sex goals for yourself?
I mean, I'm trying to pace myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hopefully, yeah. Like, I don't want
What
to
if
come
she
on
wears
too strong.
What if she wears you out? You know what I mean? What if you're the one like
she
honey, I
might?
can't.
Like, she hasn't had this kind of freedom and like responsibilities. Like, wait, like that's really all it's been is like peeling back all these like. So I don't know. She may be back to her old Tomcat ways.
Oh my God! I'm so excited.
We're gonna do an over and under
in bathrooms.
You do an over,
know what I mean? Like,
you do an over under.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm gonna be wheelbarrowing her all over the place. Just to be honest.
You're so romantic. I can't imagine why she doesn't just get wet every time she. Hey, babe, let me wheelbarrow you.
You like get wheelbarrowed tonight.
Happy anniversary.
Well,
babe.
I'm not gonna like advertise that, but that might happen.
He gives her a card.
You know what I'm saying?
She's like, oh my God.
Oh, we'll do all the romantic shit, leading up to that. Like that's all part of it.
She opens the card. Oh my God, 10-year anniversary card. That's so nice. Baby, what would you like for 10-year anniversary? A, B, or C, jackhammer, bull wheelbarrow, upside down, gobbler or some shit.
It's gonna get weird.
You're gonna party hard. What I predict. I predict that you are going to, and I want $10 if I'm right.
Okay.
You are going to have sex or some kind of sexual thing in public somewhere, probably in the castle.
That's gonna happen.
Probably in the castle.
In the castle.
For sure. Like they're gonna go up to the top of a castle.
You're right.
No one's gonna be there.
Yeah.
They're
Or at least like some frisky BJ or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, something that's
Does
like
that still
a little
happen
off
after?
the
Does
path.
that still happen after 10 years and 2 kids?
Bro, it happened one time. I told you I got roadhead one time just randomly. And I was like, whoa, this was a throwback. Yeah, so you never know, man. That's what I love about her. She just like kind of keeps me on my toes. So, yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen.
When are you going to give her roadhead?
Well, I'm
a little more
I'm
difficult.
always ready for that, but that's a little more involved.
Cop pulls him over. He looks down. He's into like the foot well or whatever.
Like she'll have to pretend she's a statue or something at least, so I can like, it's a statue. Just clean the statue.
Bro, I don't even dare ask my girl to do shit in public because it'll fucking go crazy. So I'm always like, no, babe.
Yeah,
no, we can't break the law.
I mean, we still have some governings in place.
Yeah.
You don't have that.
Well, while you're gone, you're gonna miss, and I don't want to say too much because I want to ruin the surprise for everybody. But you're gonna miss the big launch.
No.
Yeah.
I put so much effort and like I want to see this thing just.
I think
explode.
that brings down your cut to 13%. Actually,
damn it! I could have used that.
I always get so excited before we launch a new maps program.
Yeah.
So this one is one of my favorites. I'm not gonna say anything else because I want to keep this surprise.
I feel like we say that every time.
This is the one I'm running like immediately when I get back. So that was my plan.
Dude. Oh, you for sure.
Yeah, I love everything in this program, dude.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what ends up
No, I'm
happening.
excited about it too.
Yeah.
I mean, Katrina's going through it right now, and she's loving every bit of it. So it's pretty cool.
So about halfway through your trip, I'm going to Maui.
Yeah, what's everybody else doing? I know I'm kind of cutting out.
So I'm going to Maui. We're only doing 6 days, but we're going to go and do the drives and the trails and just kind of try and see most of the island or whatever and enjoy ourselves. Just Jessica and I. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Sweet.
And did you plan anything with Katrina while we're gone?
I have not, and the reason why I haven't, I'm going to go broke right now because she's spending the fuck out of money right now because part of the deal when we moved. Remember, I made a big deal about getting rid of everything.
Yeah.
And part of that was part of that fight was like us this going back and forth, and I'm like, no, nothing goes. We throw everything away. I'm like, listen, I'm like, I will buy whatever we need. Like if you throw that spatula away, next time you need a new spatula, you get a new spatula. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
whatever.
You do a lot of shopping over. Huh?
Well, I've been every weekend every weekend's a $5,000 dent in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So it's been one after another. We just finished the guest room, right? So we went out, and by the way, I just bought the Sony Bravia OLED 90 series TV. It's like the fucking Cadillac.
That was a lot of
it's
a lot of
numbers
stuff you
right
said there.
It's like the dopest TV that you can get right now.
Like not specific at all.
Yeah, and
So what's so dope about it?
it's just the clarity of it.
Is like 4K or whatever. they
Yeah,
say?
of course. It's
Okay.
all the basic
That's all I
stuff
know.
too. Yeah,
I don't know.
but like
Does
if you
it talk, can you talk to it and all kinds of other
of course,
shit?
yeah, you can do all that stuff, and it's built in smart, so it already has the Netflix already.
I'd
in
be
it.
disappointed otherwise. You were always the guy that had the leading edge like TV. Like I'd go over and it's like, holy shit. shit, dude!
Yeah.
They make these?
Yeah. So the newest one's cool. You guys will see it when you guys come out.
And you don't do the curve screen, right? Like the flat one.
Yeah, it's a thin. So OLED are the newest one. So it's the newest technology, the next level to the LED, and it's so. Anyways, we set that up and we also bought the whole spare. So now we have a nice spare bedroom. So when someone comes and stays the night there, they've got a nice bed and all that's all set up, and then the TV inside there and everything. Yada yada. But anyways, I've been spending money so much every weekend. I'm like, oh my! We were gonna go do like Cabo, or we were even considering Hawaii while you were out there. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, do we
come say hi, dude?
Just
come say hi.
I'm, and I'm, you know me, I'm all good about spending money, but like it's been every weekend. It's been like literally like a $5,000 dump or more.
Yeah, it's tough to stomach when it's all hitting.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you can also do is you don't have to go far away and spend money. You could do something local and just get away.
That more than likely what we'll do. I know because everybody's gone that Katrina and I will get away for at least 3 days or 3 or 4 days. And what we typically do on a trip like that is we'll head down south to the cliffs and go where we can take the dogs. That way we don't have to get a dog sitter. They can go with us. It's all I'm really paying is a hotel fee every night, which that's not a big deal. Because a Hawaii trip, a big Mexico trip, those things, those run me a few $1,000s minimum to do that. Mm-hmm. So we might a bare minimum we'll do a small trip, depending on how I'm feeling over the next week. We'll decide if we're going to go like to Mexico or Hawaii or something.
That's awesome. Nice. You know what I hate about buying the latest technology
is that it's old in 6 months.
Fast, yeah. and whatever you spent on, it, you're like, I want the best. You go and you get the best TV.
The transaction
and
happens.
It's like $5,000.
You're old.
$7,000. Like it's amazing TV. And literally the next year, you could buy it for like $1,200. Like I get so mad.
No,
it's so frustrating.
It's pretty cool though because now I mean the TVs are getting way more reasonable from what they used to be. I mean, it's
super. The prices have gone way down.
So the main cool features is that it's smart, right? You can like just basically have like your internet is on your TV now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all controlled through that. It's all voice activated. The one I have too, it's all automatically linked to Google Androids, and like so all your phones you can access and control everything from your phone.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of cool. It's got so many features on there. I haven't even messed with it. The thing I look for is the quality in the pictures, and then the type of stuff that you watch. Like, I don't know if you guys are watching. Did you guys watch Ozark? Did you guys watch Ozark?
No, I saw you post about that.
Yeah, I watched it.
So season 2 is out, just got released.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very dark show. Like a lot, the whole show is like seems like it's never in the daylight. It's always like this kind of overcast, really dark colors. And we watched the first episode. I think before we had the TV, we were watching it on the laptop. And it's like I would get pissed off. I'm like having to like tilt the laptop screen
because you can't see.
Yeah, it's so dark, and there's scenes where I feel like I didn't even know what was going on because it's so dark. Where the technology in some of these new TVs. I mean, you feel like you're in the room. It's almost too clear and too real. You can see the props.
Yeah, one of my I used to use Avatar the movie to kind of like decide which TV I wanted to get because like you could get like so much more detailed based off of like how they like made that movie to where it's so interesting to watch. Like I literally got more out of watching that movie on my TV at the time than I did watching it in the theater in 3D. It was crazy. Yeah, just because you could catch more like fine details. So yeah.
Did you get a separate sound system to go with it? Because I know sometimes the TVs don't have like a great, because they're so thin, right?
Right. So I have already my Onkyo and DCM speakers that I had, and so that's the spare room setup really. So this is what we did. This is kind of different, right? You'll appreciate this because I know you're all about like, making spaces in your house like usable. So something that we agreed on, like, okay, we have these three bedrooms, we have 2 like living room loft areas and a dining room, and we're like, one of the things that we decided was, hey, when we start building, since we're doing it from scratch and we have no furniture, let's look at the room and how would we get the most use out of it? Like, and so we wanted a spare room because we have company and friends and family always kind of staying. But I'm like, okay, well, if they're not staying here, how are we going to use it? And Katrina's been hard on this, and this has been tough for me because up until her, I've always had a badass TV in my bedroom. I've always had that since I was fucking teenager all the way up. And she's really anti-TV in the bedroom. And I respect that. I respect that, I know the studies on it and what it says for couples that have TVs in the bedroom versus couples that do not, and the intimacy that happens more often when you don't have that. And so I respect all that, where she's coming from. So that's been a compromise that I've made, but it's driven me crazy because we still bring the laptop into the bedroom and then we watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah, what the fuck is the difference, right? So if we're going to stick to that rule, let's stick to that rule. So part of our idea was, okay, and then I also am like anti-eating in the bed, right? I don't want to eat food in the bed and eat crumbs and
no way.
Right. So we've now converted this guest room. So it's all really nice bed in there and bed set, and then the surround sound and the badass TV is all in this guest room. So we like last night we set up, brought the popcorn and everything in the bedroom.
So it's like a movie room?
It's a movie room.
Oh yeah.
Slash guest room.
Especially for you, you enjoy watching TV and movies so much, like you enjoy the experience of it, I should say. Like that is a wonderful use of that space.
Right. So I love that. Like we'll use that as our TV kind of movie room that we can hang out in. We can eat on top of the bed. We can do whatever the fuck we want in there. And then when we're done in there, we go to our bedroom. And then if we have guests, then they can sleep in there. So that's how we've designed that room.
That's awesome. Yeah. When I was looking at some of those places in Morgan Hill, there was this one massive home that I was looking at, and you look around and it's gorgeous, and then you start to realize, what do I do with all this? What would I do with all this space? Did you guys run into that when you're looking at them?
Oh yeah, no, it's
because you're trying to figure out, like, okay, well, there's like 3 lofts. Like, what am I going to do with all of them? Like, this one I can make a game room.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with this one, and what am I going to do with that one? But one of the houses that I saw that I really liked was they had one of the bedrooms was like a spare. It was almost like a guest house. So like in this room was a living room, a bedroom, and like a little kitchen. I thought that was really cool.
that is cool.
Yeah, because and it had its own entrance.
Yeah.
So if you have like family,
like sublease or whatever.
well, family is
Family,
yeah. Because the way I look at it, and I'm not nowhere near ready to do any of this, but in the future, that's going to be what I'm looking for. Because what if you need to take care of your parents or whatever as they get older? They could just live in your guest room, but also have the autonomy and freedom that it's kind of like their own house almost, but it's attached.
I would have to have something like that if I were to take on my mom or something. Like she would have to have her own.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the only way it would exist for me. Like it's like either that or I would pay for an actual.
Yeah, you're living somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mom, sorry. Yeah.
Are we doing an unboxing? We haven't done it in a while.
Oh,
Yes, indeed.
bringing it back. It's a big box.
It's a huge box.
What did you
Dude,
go all
I'm
out
so
here?
hungry, Doug. Please
You're
tell
going to
me
be
you
so
got
excited what's in this huge box.
Is there beef
because
jerky?
Are you being sarcastic right now? You
Maybe.
Are, yeah,
Maybe.
It's all cleaning supplies.
Yeah, it is. Right. It is.
some,
good.
God damn it.
It's
Doug.
good.
I just
right.
love opening these boxes.
So let's see what we got from the Thrive Market today.
I'm glad we brought this back because I liked when you were shopping for us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
it was
did
like a
shop
treat.
for you, but it's nothing like huge for you, but very personalized, all right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
So we know Justin's heading out on an airplane tomorrow,
Yeah, man.
and so we got to get him some peanuts for the road.
Oh,
I know this boy loves his peanuts.
Thank you. I love peanuts.
Now, Adam, I got to say,
Peanuts?
Peanuts.
I can find yours in here. I'm not sure. It might be in this one right here. Nope, this is not. This is a practical item for the studio. It's our disinfectant spray from seventh generation.
I like that
All
stuff.
South
It's good,
Parks.
yeah. It's
I use that for the sauna. I spray that in the sauna all the time.
Right.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Good for spraying on the microphones, the pop filters, on the headphones when we have
I
guests.
need that for mine.
Yeah,
I
so-
get the most.
Yeah, we got a little
Bacteria
spit coming
on
out
mine.
there. Of course, we always know that Sal loves his
Oh my
macadamia
God.
nuts.
I just-
Macadamia Sal's what his nickname
Yes,
is.
thank you.
Now, being very practical and wanting to help you save, another $5,000 going out this coming weekend, I bought you something for your house that everybody should use. I got this in every bathroom I have in my house,
I
which
love
is
that soap.
Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap.
So
This stuff is so good.
I just got introduced. My last order is I got the peppermint soap bars by Bronner's.
Don't jerk off with it though. It'll burn the shit.
Oh,
out of you.
yeah, I've done that.
It is my favorite soap now.
Right in the peel.
Now, I also get their shaving cream, their shaving gel. It's great. It works well. I use one of those brushes, because I'm the old guy. So I
Oh my God, you use the old school brush?
Oh, I do,
love it.
man. Throwback. I use an old-fashioned razor, too, with the double-sided.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I love that thing. But, yeah, get a little of that in your mouth. It actually tastes good. It's funny because I think they use glycerin, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
and then the peppermint. Not that I eat it, but
Glycerin.
all right. So the rest of this stuff and the reason for this massive box is some practical things for the studio.
Oh, okay. That's what that is.
Toilet
Paper towels.
Paper towels.
Now everybody's always asking, "Do we have any forks? Do we have any forks?"
Oh, thank you.
Okay, these are compostable, BPA-free forks and knives and
Save the
spoons and
seals.
everything that we need for the studio.
What does
So
that mean? What does that mean if they're
that means
compostable?
that means they bury it and it actually breaks
It
down.
breaks down.
it'll disintegrate
It'll
eventually?
disintegrate.
Stay forever.
Unlike the normal forks that the future humans of the 10,000 years are going to find, trying to figure us out.
Yeah, so we also got compostable cups.
Nuclear fallout. Those will be
Bowls.
forks.
What is that?
I have no idea. And plates.
Excellent.
So everything we need for. Oh, I know. Okay, I bought myself something.
Oh, what'd you get, Doug?
I don't know what they had to put it in this big thing, but I guess they're afraid it was
Compostable
gonna-
depends.
Yeah. Chocolate, of
Of
course.
course, you got your chocolate.
Got some chocolate. That's it. That's
good-
what I got for
Good
myself.
call. You know what
Damn
goes
it.
well with chocolate peanuts?
And that is
Let's
it.
combine, Doug.
Awesome, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
By the way, I ate all of the Ben Greenfield Keon bars.
Bro, I know.
You dick.
So I'm so glad I do this, right? So
I was
I
hungry for one.
They're
too.
fucking good,
I
bro.
know. They are good.
I had one shipped to my house because I knew you guys would eat. I didn't realize you'd eat them that fast. Those just came in like 2 days ago. So somebody's eating them by the fucking fours.
Yeah.
So I don't
that was
know.
me.
But they really are good. I mean, he's just reformulated this one too. This is his most recent one, right? Because
Yeah.
we tried his original bars out 6 months ago when he was going through.
This
the whole
one's not made with quinoa. It's
Kaniwa.
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 Sounds like you remember like a Temple of Doom where the priest guy is like,
Kalima.
Doug, did Ben hook us up with a? Do we have a discount?
Right?
I don't know if there's a discount, but we do have a code here. It's GetKion, which is GetKion.com/mind pump.
Oh, there
I'll
you
see
go.
if we can get a discount too.
I think
go.
there is one already.
Okay.
If he's already got a link like that,
Well,
then
Ben's fucking legit, man. Everything
Yeah.
he does is legit.
no. If I have a bar now, I use one of their bars.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super high on protein, but it's all natural, and then
Collagen protein is what it's got.
it's good, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Very tasty.
Today's Quah is brought to you by MAPS Anabolic. If you're looking to maximize your overall muscle and strength, MAPS Anabolic is the perfect place to start. With a full 30-day money-back guarantee, there is absolutely zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Go to mindpumpmedia.com and get started today.
It's the motherfucking Quah.
Eagle has landed.
Quah.
Our first question is from Evan Brandenburg. After leaning out for summer, competition, etc., how do you mentally deal with the idea of gaining weight and not being as lean?
Yeah, change your goal.
Hey,
Change your focus. Okay, so for me, it was never hard to change to focus on gaining weight because I was always trying to gain weight. For me, it was hard to try to be lean. That was very difficult because I don't want to lose weight. I don't want to be any smaller. And so when I was trying to get lean, I had to change my focus. And I had to focus a lot on body fat percentage. I would test my body fat percentage. And as I started to get leaner, because when you start getting lean, at first you just look smaller. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do is as I started getting definition, I'd wear more tank tops and work out. And that made me feel better about getting lean. Now, as far as gaining is concerned,
Hence the birth of the wife beater.
that's right. I wish I invented that thing.
Tattooed on your body.
For gaining weight, what I tend to tell clients is, let's focus on your strength. Focus on your strength gains in the gym because those typically are people feel positive about them. And rather than focusing on your weight, let's not even use the scale right now. Let's just focus on how you look in the mirror and your strength in the gym. And let's try to boost and build up your metabolism because they're both different phases of your body. They're both different adaptations, but both of them are very important. If you just stay in a gaining phase all the time, your body becomes desensitized to insulin, potentially become desensitized to proteins, and you start getting, diminishing returns. If you just stay in a cut for long, you'll start to have, slower metabolism. Your performance will start to drop. And in order to maintain yourself at a lean body weight, you need to eat less and less food over a period of time. So I think it's important for everybody to go through periods of both eating at a deficit and also eating in a surplus. I think that's important for anybody, regardless of what your ultimate goal is. Even if you want to maintain a shredded physique, you still should go through a period of some calorie surplus, because you're just going to speed up your metabolism and make it easier for you to stay lean anyway.
Yeah, I think it's imperative that you go through, surplus, even though like you love to be lean and that's something that you want to maintain like year round, like to be able to keep a healthy metabolism, like we need to interrupt that process and we need to feed the body and there's benefits that like you're saying, performance wise, adding in more calories, it's a dramatic boost, and going through that for me was a dramatic process of like adding carbohydrates and then fueling my workouts again, getting competitive with that, like internally. It's just for me, that's always been a fun thing to begin with, was like really just enjoying the workouts themselves and improving the skill of the workouts, because then that translates to my body further. So
I think Sal, you said it best, is that you just shift your focus on the things. Like when I'm leaning out, you're looking at things like vascularity and how small your waist is and how you're not holding water and your belt loop is coming in, and like, so these are the things I'm like looking at, like, oh, this is great. I'm in muscle separation and that feels good and you probably really like it. And then you go to gaining weight or bulking and switch the other direction. And if you're still looking at all those same indicators as your measure of success, it can get really daunting or frustrating, right? Because obviously if you increase calories, you do these things, good chances are you're going to hold more water, good chances are your waistline's going to go up, good chances are you're not going to see your cuts like you used to. So shifting your mentality on the things that you should be looking more at when you're bulking, like your strength and your performance and your workouts, like how those are responding. Like I love to look at it like that, where and this is where I'm at right now. So we just did the 6-week cut. The last part of this cut, I was in a very depleted state. I felt flat. I felt kind of weak. I was just kind of getting through the workouts. Now I felt cool. My waist, I got to that point, and I always know when I'm getting really lean is my elastic in my underwear starts to get some slack in it. Like that's when I know I'm getting really lean. And so I even started to see that right now. And so I just switched gears the other direction. Now I'm back to feeding myself. Well, one of the cool things about feeding myself is I get to eat more. I also notice my energy levels are up. Like I notice my libido goes up. I notice my strength will go up. I'll get better pumps and better workouts. Like, so I tend to focus on those parts of what gaining weight and building looks like. And I'll do that for a little bit before I switch back the other direction.
Yeah, and you got to really, make friends with your body. And what I mean by that is appreciate the different iterations of your body when it's healthy. Okay, so can you be healthy and be leaner? And can you be healthy and be heavier? Yes, there's actually a pretty wide range. Now, of course, you can get too lean or get too heavy, and then your health will suffer. But within that, there's this range. Like I know my body, and I know that my health can be very, very good at 8% body fat, but I also know my health can be very, very good at 16% body fat, twice as much body fat. Both iterations of my body are very healthy. Both of them look different. Both of them have their own positives and their own negatives in the objective sense, but I love both of them. Learn to make friends with your body as you're gaining strength, gaining muscle, and gaining a little size. And also make friends with your body when you're getting lean, getting shredded, and seeing more definition. Again, both of which can represent being healthy. And when I say, a lot of times I would say things like, you got to train because you love your body, eat because you love your body, not because you hate your body. Your body comes in different shapes and sizes. I'm not talking about different people. I'm talking about yours. Your individual body comes in different shapes and sizes. And appreciate all of them. For women, for example, I remember, and I just remembered now, a female client that I had a long time ago, and she was so afraid of gaining any weight. And that's because she'd always restricted her calories for so long. So when she came to me, we had very frank and honest discussions. And one of the things I told her was, look, you're going to have to be okay with gaining a little bit of weight and a little bit of body fat. You're really, really lean. You're too lean. You don't have your period. You've been doing this for too long. Your metabolism is really slow. Your performance is low. You're coming to me because you want to feel better, and part of you feeling better is going to be we need to feed your body and we have to allow you to gain some weight. And so we went through this process, and it took us a little while to get her comfortable with it. But after about 6 months, the things that she would say to me were things like, wow, I really am liking the little bit of curves that my body has. And, ooh, I like the way I look in a dress now versus how I looked before. And, my boyfriend is commenting on these different things, and I feel a little bit more womanly. And it's not that it was better than how she was before, is that she was learning to appreciate her body in a different, healthy iteration of itself. And so learn to make friends with that, because you are going to go through periods of being a little heavier or being a little leaner. That's just how life works. You got to be okay with all of them so long as you're healthy.
The next question is from the Hungry Trainer. Do you like the Arnold Press? What are your favorite exercises for building the delts?
This is cool.
You guys want to take a guess of who invented the Arnold Press?
I have no idea.
Arnold
Probably
Plummer,
not
right?
entire. Yeah.
You know why Arnold did his shoulder presses this way? So when you do a bodybuilding shoulder press with dumbbells, right? Your palms are facing forward, and you bring them down.
Is that internal rotation?
And you're limited by your range of motion, because the dumbbells will either hit your shoulders or, there's only so far you can come, right? So what Arnold used to do, and one of the wonderful and brilliant things I loved about Arnold was, during this period of time, there wasn't a lot of science in regards to muscle building and training. A lot of it was bodybuilders experimenting and creating their
practical
own
knowledge,
and just like, okay, this is what works. This doesn't work. And Arnold was a huge proponent of full range of motion exercises. In fact, when you watch the movie Pumping Iron, one of my favorite movies of all time, there's a scene where he's doing flies with dumbbells. And you can see he's alternating with another lifter, another bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. The bodybuilder that goes before him does these flies, and they look good form and everything. Arnold gets on the bench and does his flies, and his range of motion was dramatic. The guy had massive pecs, massive shoulders, but when he lowered the dumbbells, they could almost touch the floor with how wide and range of motion that he got. And when you read the stuff that Arnold wrote about in those days, he always talked about full range of motion training. Train within the fullest ranges of motion. And now we do have studies that show that full ranges of motion build more muscle than shorter ranges of motion, even if you can use more weight with the shorter range of motion. Because I've heard that argument, like, oh, I don't go as low, but I can add more weight, so it should be the same, or maybe I'm even better because I'm adding more weight. Not true. Studies will show that it's intensity that matters, and also range of motion matters quite a bit.
Cause dysfunction.
Yeah, and so what Arnold did with the shoulder press is he took the dumbbells all the way down, couldn't go down any further, so then he supinated his hands or rotated them so they've palmed in, and now he could go all the way down with his shoulder press, and it became a much fuller range of motion exercise. Now, in comparison between that and a traditional shoulder press, the Arnold press is one of the most functional. It's one of the most functional overhead presses you can do.
There's a lot of coaches out there too that they got me in the mindset of using a press with like a spiral pattern instead of like thinking of a press as like this static up and down, whereas we got taught that a lot, because of like the safety of, like 90 degrees and not going through like this full range and like putting stress on, the rotators. Like I never subscribed to that, because like if I'm grabbing something like functionally and I keep my limbs in close, but I'm like rotating and going, it's such a natural pattern for your shoulder to go through. So I'm always trying to teach in that regard. And then, kettlebells are awesome for that because they kind of load nicely for that to the outside of your hand. But dumbbells works just as good too.
It's funny because the Arnold press is similar to the kettlebell press. If you were to compare,
very similar. Yeah.
For me, it's the most functional overhead press you could do with a dumbbell, in my personal opinion. And I think every MAPS program we've created, or almost every MAPS program, has the Arnold press in it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's got to be
at least some form of it, right? Because we're trying to, and I definitely am always looking for that, because I don't like these shorter ranges of motion type lifts where we're just going to create more dysfunction going into a different type of modality. So,
well, especially for the shoulders, this is shoulder tuck is like one of my favorites, because, and I've shared on the show before that it was like the first real critique that a competitor gave to me back when in my early 20s by a female competitor, and she said I had shit shoulders, and it bruised my ego. Yeah. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because at that moment that's when I began to really start to build and develop my shoulders, and over time what I realized was I put so much energy on building my arms, my biceps, and my triceps, and shoulders are cornerstone of your upper body. And if you have really power, and not just from aesthetic, like I know I speak from an aesthetic point of view most of the time, because that's potentially, or most of the time, what I care about or what I'd like to talk about. But I mean, even for strength, like your shoulders are involved in every push and every pull movement that you could do. So having very strong functional shoulders is a no-brainer. But from the way that you look and your body's presented, man, you have some good shoulder caps on you, and it just brings the entire body together. It exaggerates the X factor, so it makes you look much broader at top. It makes your waist look smaller. When you have good front delts, it brings your upper chest and the upper part of your body together. When you have good rear delts, it brings your back together. I mean, when you have your good side delt, it looks really good. Like every part of the shoulder, I think is so important. And I did a YouTube video, I think a year ago or so. It's a higher trending video of ours, not like our best stuff. I think we do a lot better stuff now today than we did back then. But I did my favorite, guaranteed to make your shoulders grow, I think is what was the title of the series. And I gave a series of exercises, and I believe it was, I teach a compound lift, and then I teach a movement for your front delts, and then a movement for your rear delts. And I 100% Arnold Press. Z press is one of my favorites, man. And the reason why I love the Z press so much, one, it takes the shoulder through full range of motion, because you start with the barbell all the way down on your chest. And then the part that I love the most about the Z press is when I teach it, I teach the exaggerated extension part of it, right? So I want you to fully extend and stabilize over your head. And I think that overhead stabilization is so key for the shoulder development, and from a strength perspective, and again, an aesthetic perspective. So the Z press is a staple movement, and it takes your lower body out of it, so you can't cheat it, right? Like you could have a real powerful core and good leg drive, and you could kind of cheat a standard overhead press, right? Or you can be in a seated press and you could arch your back and get it up and use more of your chest, where you cannot cheat a Z press. You have got to have good, strong shoulders to stabilize that up over your head. And then the other thing I love to teach is just a lot of focus on rear delts. I think it's one of the most overlooked parts of the shoulder. I think it's tough to target. I think a lot of people, when they do rear delts, they engage their rhomboids and their traps. And to isolate the rear delt, I think is tough to do. And I think when you learn to do that, I think it really brings the shoulder all together. It's an area I think that I really worked on hard when I was a competitor, and I think it was a major strength of mine that I had these great, impressive rear delts that really made my whole shoulder come together. And if you put energy and time into that, I just don't know a lot of people. When I walk in the gym, it's rare I see people actually doing movements that specifically target the rear delt. And I think it's an overlooked part of the body.
It's crucial to keep everything tracking well and avoid pain, right, going forward. So
yeah, smart. And like you said, aesthetically speaking, man, you develop those rear delts. Yeah, it just gives you a very round looking shoulder. I also like to do the Arnold Press one arm at a time. Oh, yes. I love alternating them, or even just doing one dumbbell where I'm just standing there really tight, one dumbbell, pressing it up, bringing it down, doing my set with one arm, and then switching to the other one. I think you're going to be you're hard pressed to find somebody who can overhead press a lot of weight that doesn't have relatively impressive delts and upper back. That's an important thing to note here with overhead pressing. It's not just your shoulders that you have to have strong. If you do a real good overhead press, like the kind where you're standing tall, you have to have good upper back strength and muscularity. And I like the Arnold press for that, because when you press it straight up, it allows you to kind of press real tall and then bring all the way down, so you get that full range of motion.
Next question is from Misfit Nerdy.
There's our girl.
When is the best time to implement sauna use and cold therapy relative to time of day and training schedule? Post-workout, on rest days, first thing in the morning?
This is a good question, because sauna and cold both have real effects on the body. Both have studies supporting their use, and there is probably a better time to use both a sauna and cold. Now, when and I'm going to use the studies as a litmus test, okay? But I'm also going to talk a little bit anecdote. Studies show that when athletes use an infrared sauna post-workout, that they have improvements in adaptations, in particular stamina and endurance. So sauna seems to be a great, and you see this in swimmers. There was, I forgot what study it was, I think it was out of New Zealand, and they did it with swimmers, and they found that when they did the sauna post-exercise versus before the workout, they had better performance gains with their workouts.
As opposed to the opposite with cryo would limit the inflammation, and so it would dampen a little bit of the adaptation response.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So cold therapy, probably not a good idea to do it around your workouts because it will blunt the inflammatory response, which you want. You want that inflammatory response to be normal because that's what tells your body to repair and rebuild and build muscle. Now, the only time I could see cold therapy right after a workout actually being beneficial is if you're pushing your body so hard.
Yeah, you're performing like a competition or something like that.
Yeah, like let's say you're in football and you're doing double days. I know when my friends would do double days, it's insane, it's intense, and many times, in my opinion,
you're trying to survive it.
It's
basically.
too much.
Yeah.
That's when I think cold therapy might be beneficial because without it, you're just overtraining. So maybe it's going to bring it back enough to put you in that kind of.
I love to do like one. If you guys have not done this yet, and because we have the relationship with Brink and the cryo, we can kind of go in there whenever and use it. If you can go over and do cryo, come over here and crush some weights, and then go do our sauna afterwards, it is the most awesome fucking combination in my opinion. You get this crazy adrenaline rush from the cryo, brings down any sort of inflammation that you might have had before, so you feel like your joint mobility right away goes up. You get this rush because your body temperature drops so low, so you get this surge of energy right after you do the cryo. So it's great to hit the cryo and then come over and do a lift. You get a great lift from that, and then post you go hang out in our infrared.
Yeah, I remember Ben Greenfield's up at his house, and he believes, and he's all about like doing this cold to heat contrast, so we'll do like the cold dip and then we'll do the sauna. But yeah, that, man, you get this like real like euphoric feeling after, like just the contrast of both of those extremes was quite significant.
Yeah, cold dip, if you were to go into cold water, really, really cold water, some studies show a 200 to 300% increase in norepinephrine just from 20 seconds of exposure. Now, I know for me, and so one of the best times to maybe do something like that is first thing in the morning. That's when you want those. And I know for me, I do cold showers every morning. And when I do them, it's like a mild cup of coffee. Like it's cold ass
it's like
water.
A stimulant. Yeah.
Yep. And it wakes me right the fuck up, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So that, and the way cold really benefits the body, it kind of stimulates this hormetic response. And the benefits seem to be more, basically mostly central nervous system and not so much muscle. So it's really toning and strengthening.
What about your immune system?
Well, the immune system
because that to me is like, I mean, and this is where where we can be splitting hairs with talking about the best timing to do some of this stuff. Like, I think that if you can get in a cold and hot like contrast like dip like sauna dip thing where you go back and forth, if you can get that in any time of the day, I think there's huge benefits to that. In fact, I didn't bring this up on the show, but I just recently got sick during this competition, and if I'm being completely honest, it's the longest I've been without doing that. I've been really consistent, and I talk all about what a difference it is when I'm incorporating the cold showers with the hot, or doing like going up to Refuge where we go do the cold plunge and go right into the sauna. Man, I tell you what, I just feel resilient. I can be around people that are sick and I don't seem to pick it up. And then if I'm neglecting that and I'm not training that, I swear I have just this weak ass immune system. So I think there's lots of benefits to just doing it, period, regardless of trying to get the most bang for your buck out of timing it around your workout. We talk a lot about timing with nutrition and food. I think there's enough studies to show the benefits of doing the hot-cold contrast that just doing it is better than trying to.
Well, it's a if you look at your body and your body's ability to adapt to certain things, they get better as you exercise them and train them, right? So if your skin's ability to adapt to the sun, if you exercise it and go out a little bit, you can withstand more sunlight and your skin gets darker and adapts. If you handle rough objects, your skin adapts. You may get thicker calluses. If you train your body with weights, your body adapts and builds stronger muscle. But our body's ability to acclimate to temperature changes, we almost never train or exercise. Think about it. Like your house is climate controlled, your car is climate controlled, and your office is climate controlled. Everything's climate controlled, and your body does have systems that help regulate temperature. And if you train them, like here's an example. Let's say you're somebody who has a really poor heat tolerance. Like if it's too hot, you just feel like anxious, it's too much, I can't handle it, I can't be in the heat. Do some therapy in the sauna for a while, and you'll find that your heat tolerance will get better.
You can acclimate.
Same thing with cold. If you just can't handle the cold, do some cold therapy and watch how your body starts to acclimate. Now, that's a system of the body that actually becomes stronger. And as a result of that system becoming stronger, other systems work better because the body's all integrated. And part of that, I think, has to do with the immune system. And you're right, Adam, there are studies that show that, there was one study in particular where they had people take do a 20 to 30 minute cold rinse in the shower every day. And there was like a significant reduction in the amount of upper respiratory infections
I noticed
among them.
Big difference.
Yeah,
dude.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too that cold does, which is kind of interesting. So there's two types of fat that we've identified in the body. There's white fat that just kind of sits there to store calories, and then there's brown fat. And brown fat's part of its job is to increase your body's temperature. It works with the immune system, but it can actually turn up the heat to help warm your body. So it's the kind of fat that you can burn more easily than the white fat. Well, when you put yourself in cold environments or cold dips or whatever, you activate that brown fat. And there was one study that showed that a cold dip, and I forgot how long it was, 20 seconds or something like that, increased brown fat activation by 15-fold. Wow. So 15 times more brown fat activation.
So does that mean you're actually like converting white fat to brown fat? How does that process work?
No, it means the brown fat that you have.
It means you're tapping into the energy from the brown fat.
It's burning itself
to stay warm,
to heat you up.
To stay warm. It's now.
So in essence, you're speeding up your metabolism. In essence, now are the effects big enough to see dramatic changes? Not like changing your diet and exercising well. However, if you're really lean and you're looking for that extra edge, I would say it could make a difference. And the other thing too is you have the health effects, the health benefits, the immune system benefits, and now you can see that it kind of stimulates your metabolism a little bit. When you add all of that up, I tell every client now to implement some kind of cold and hot contrast.
I look at it like meditation and mobility work for me. I can't ever do enough of this. Mm-hmm. If I have the time to go up and take a weekend and go do the refuge thing, if I am disciplined enough to incorporate the cold showers, it's one of those things that I think that in our society today, you probably can't do it enough. You know, there's probably you should be incorporating this, and I think the overall benefits from it far outweigh any sort of cost that that goes into it.
Bro, in Eastern Europe, this is part of their culture. There's videos you can watch.
Polar bear guys, right?
Bro,
jump in.
You could watch videos on YouTube right now of children in like 3rd grade or 2nd grade, and it's snowing outside. So the kids are inside for class. And their break, what do? They go outside in bathing suits and they jump and run in the snow and they get sprayed with water, and it's part of their day. This is what they do. It's a huge part of certain cultures to be exposed to to extreme heat and extreme cold, and they do it since they were children.
Again, isn't this so funny though that you are brought up as a kid like you always had to have a coat, you know, otherwise you're for sure getting, like, oh my God, you're going to get sick, when the opposite, if you just went out there and had more exposure to it and
you probably wouldn't get sick.
You wouldn't get sick.
Right. So true.
All right, next question is from Brenda Farias 51. Do you think the younger generation is becoming less and less connected to religion?
I don't think I know.
Yeah, statistically speaking.
It's in the IGEN book. They break this down. Yeah. It's actually significally less.
Yeah. Now, here's the question. Is that a good or a bad thing? That's the debate. Do we think that's a good or a bad thing?
Well, that's a
pretty long conversation.
Yeah. Well, here's my opinion on it, because I have an opinion on everything. So, but on this in particular, when you look at human psychology and you read about it, what you find in some of the most, some of the most popular psychologists of all time are the ones that, like Carl Jung, for example, they talk about how humans worship things, or at least we place things at the top of our list of things that we value. So if you look at your everyday life, you are constantly choosing things that you value more than things that you value less of. Everything you do, from why you turn right instead of left, to the shirt that you pick, to the lunch that you ate, to the people you talk to versus the ones that you don't. Everything is a judgment, and you're constantly judging something that you like better than something that you don't. Well, at the top of that is your ultimate value. Mm-hmm. And if it's not religion, if it's not
something,
it's something.
Put something there. There's hierarchy, that exists in nature, that exists, like wherever you're looking within your life. And so it's like you have to kind of determine that, like whether you like it or not, like you're putting something in priority of everything else. But what is that?
Yeah. And so kids who are now less religious, it doesn't necessarily mean they're less religious. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not in the traditional sense, but they're still worshiping. They're just not worshiping the traditional major religions. In fact, when you look at all the kids that say they're not religious, when they go back and ask them, but do you consider yourself spiritual? The majority of them say yes. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they stopped believing in, God or whatever you want to call it. It's that they stopped following the organized religions. Now, here's my fear with all of this. And I'm not pro one or the other necessarily. My fear is that we have these religions that have stood the test of time. And the way they've stood the test of time is they work. Mm-hmm. Okay? They work. Like the Judeo-Christian religions, for example, whatever faults you find in it and all the bad things that they've done in the name of organized religion, they work in the sense that they've created societies that seem to move towards more equality, that seem to move more towards liberty, that have brought more prosperity, that whatever. There's certain values within them. If you throw that out and eliminate that, they're going to replace it with something else that may not have a time-tested, basically that doesn't have as much effectiveness over time. Like, we don't know what they're going to replace it with. Like, are kids going to replace it with materialism,
right,
consumerism? Or are they going to replace it with nihilism and just feeling like
it may
life
be
is
more
meaningless?
appealing too, because it's like it's feeding into the indulgences and desires and lots of things that innately sound good right now at this moment in time, but is that a long-term strategy that's going to benefit your life and people around you as much? So it's yet to be determined. But yeah, there's a lot of new ideas, I think, floating around, and people are subscribing. I think people are really just trying to kind of understand, how they can determine this for themselves, and they're just tired of having organizations tell them how they have to live their life. But then you got to kind of revisit, what's been working, what hasn't been working.
But see, I've heard that. I've heard people say that, like, they're tired of the organizations and the institutions telling them what to think. But in the same sentence, I'll see these same people, because I've talked to lots of people about this. These same people will post pictures of themselves burning incense and having crystals for the particular, healing powers, and
they fall into somebody else's structure.
I think some religions just don't seem cool, and others seem cooler. Like people who say they're not religious but they're spiritual. Okay, well, what are you spiritual about? Oh, I take psychedelics, and that's the way I talk to the other side. Or this other religion that I've learned about, South American religion, or Taoism, or Confucianism, or whatever. It's just, I think that some of the older ones just don't seem as cool. Like a kid today saying, well, I'm Christian, he might get some flack, but another kid who's like, oh, I believe in, I worship, the crystals or whatever. So, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I'm open-minded.
It's novel.
Yeah. What are you worshiping? So,
yeah, man, I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, I know we love to touch these third rails with the religion talk and the political talk, and it's hard not to talk about both at the same time here, because this is also why I don't even subscribe to being like a libertarian. I know that a lot of people think that we are on the show. I know, Sal, you come from that camp and kind of talk from that perspective, but this is where I have kind of a conservative background, where I don't know how much faith I have in humanity with certain things like this. Like I fear for, especially after this talk we just had about Mr. Rogers and watching that and seeing like, how we've evolved because of television and how you've seen consumerism now and how out of control that's gotten. And now we have social media and who would ever thought that we would have went from, and my uncle was talking about this the other day, television where it was so crazy when you saw a girl's belly button. That was a big deal when the first,
I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah. That's what it was.
Right.
Everybody lost their minds.
Right? It was just unbelievable that we did that. And you can't get on to Instagram without seeing at least
a butthole.
Yeah. Like full on
makings of a butthole.
Full on nudity on there. And it's become very normal. In fact, we actually are starting to celebrate that. You see a lot of women putting that out there as like an empowering thing, like, be proud of your body and sexuality and put it out there. And, I don't know if that's the right direction for us as a society. And I don't know if, the 13-year-old girl who gets on there and looks at that has the right discernment to know if it's a good idea or not. And so, I fear for our generation. Do I think there's some positive to it? Yeah, I think there is. I think we are a much more educated generation. I think we have access to information. I think now, instead of just growing up and going to church with your parents and being told that this is the way and the only way, that you have the ability to get online and start Googling and doing research and learning for yourself and challenging some of the ideologies that you're hearing in your own maybe household or in your community. So I think there's some positiveness to that. Like, I think that's good. And maybe that, just becoming indoctrinated into a religion and not being open-minded to read others. I mean, I know that being somebody who had to teach and do this stuff when I was younger, I read other religions, and I've always challenged the way that my current beliefs are. So if I believe one way, I like to read the opposing side. So I think there are some positive things that could come from this on that aspect, but then I fear the general population.
Well, just what they're replacing it with.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing in 10 years.
I think it'll come around. I think that, it's important for people to really own what they believe in their own, what they find within their own experience. And that takes a lot of education, and that takes a lot of a journey, that they have to go through, like, personally. And I definitely know that there's religions that, provide the structure, and people can really benefit from that immediately and like have somebody sort of lay it out for them. But there's some people that really need to go through the trials, the tribulations, like, read, other thoughts, and like go through this whole process to find themselves, find where they belong, and find what makes sense. And, I have faith that people will come to conclude, certain things work and certain things don't work.
Yeah, well, total health has always included a spiritual element. And I know they've tried to separate it for a long time, and it's just fitness and diet, and that's it. But you can't separate it. Spirituality is a part of total health, and it's always been a part of it. This is why, like, if you go in the health space, now you might not have the traditional religions, but I guarantee you a large percentage of the people in the health and wellness space will consider themselves strongly spiritual in some way. It's just part of overall health. Why? Because it gives you purpose, and it gives life meaning, which you need because life is difficult for everybody. There's always going to be hard shit that you're going to have to deal with. And believing in a greater purpose, whatever that is for you, can help with that. Now, as far as, what we should do about it, look, I have my beliefs, and I think I know what's best for people. But I would never want to control other people, because the reality is, do I really know what's best for people?
Right.
Probably not. So here's the deal. Like, I like people to be free, because if we're going to progress, then the only way we can progress is if people do it on their own, voluntarily. So we can try forcing people all we want. We could try censoring TV. We could try censoring the internet. We could try structuring things in a particular way. But that's not progress. That's people being controlled. Progress comes from people making the choices on their own, which means sometimes we're going to have to...
The fine line there, though, is like when talking about like conservatism and thinking that direction is like, I agree with that, especially as an adult. Like, I think as an adult, we should have the options and the ability to do whatever, watch whatever, consume whatever. Like, I 100% believe that we have that free choice. But I have a hard time with that for a 7 or an 8-year-old.
Developmental minds.
Yes, a mind that is being formed.
I totally agree with that.
And doesn't know better. Doesn't know that the naked girl on Instagram is not normal, and that in fact I should be emulating that. And if I'm consuming that as a child because I have the freedom to do that, because we promote freedom so much. That, let's not put constraints on anybody or tell anybody they can or can't do anything. Then you get these kids that are being, I mean, this is back to the Mr. Rogers thing. Like, that was his fear was, nothing's wrong with nothing's wrong with cartoons, but I guess, if all your cartoons are bad guys killing other guys and shooting each other with this laser guns, and it's all the information that they're processing, and they begin to think that this is normal.
Well, there's a big difference between, there's definitely freedom. But when it comes to children, there is a person who is the one that helps. Just like look, you have a 7-year-old, you don't just tell them, eat whatever the fuck you want. You have to direct them and help them make those decisions. And you have to sometimes put limits and structures. That's the job of their parents.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And so what I mean by that is, okay, here's the deal. We have a market with all this information that's coming out. We have TV commercials for kids. We have shitty TV shows and sugary cereals and all that stuff. Okay, that exists and that should be able to exist. However, if we don't want it, it's the parents' jobs to cut it off, cut funding. And people are starting to do this. This is what I like about the new media age. I'm starting to see people protest in ways that are really fucking effective. Like, something will happen people won't be happy about. Next thing you know, there's a petition. It goes online. People share it on Facebook and things happen. So I agree with you, Adam. I don't think advertisers should advertise to children. But do I think there should be a law? No. I just think I'll turn that shit off. Your advertising is not going to work. And if other parents did it, but that's the only way we could progress is as people do things because they want to, not because they're being forced. Otherwise, it almost doesn't count. But and again, when it comes to religion, look, here's the deal. They're following their parents. Adult belief in religions is dropping. So is children's belief in religions. Mm-hmm. What's replacing it is what I fear. I want to replace it to be something that values humanity, that values people, that finds each person as an individual special and deserving of respect, love, and care, that values hard work, conscientiousness, empathy.
Which I feel like, don't you feel like that was like Mr. Rogers' message, right?
Yes.
Like, I love that you could have watched him as a kid growing up and have no idea that he had a religious background.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is
he was so smart.
That to me is what real religion should stand for. Mm-hmm. Exactly that. It is not an excuse to oppress those, or it's not an excuse to become self-righteous. Right. It's a tool that you should use to
You're a shining example
to better humanity.
Yeah, and that we just need more shining examples of a solid moral structure that's benefiting society, benefiting their fellow man in their process of discovering themselves and going through life, like helping other people out.
You're right. Humans, part of our curse and blessing is that we have this very complex consciousness, and we tend to need a game plan. We need an operating system. Mm-hmm. This is why humans can vary so dramatically sometimes from culture to culture. Why is it that one culture finds it totally appropriate to eat other people and be cannibal? Or even now, even today, there's certain cultures that eat dogs, for example, and other cultures find that completely terrible. Like, how could you possibly do that? Well, they have a different operating system. They don't think it's wrong. Now, does that mean that moralism is relative? No, not at all. I think there's certain things that are objective, like don't kill someone. Unless you're protecting yourself, don't kill someone. That's a good fucking operating system to run by. I think we should believe in that. I think we should believe in helping each other, help ourselves. So help someone so that they can help themselves. That's a good one. I think hard work is another good value. But anyway, I'm naming the ones that I think that are good. But people need to have that basic operating system. It gives them purpose. And the only thing that worries me today about the swarms of people that are abandoning religion is we don't know what
for what, right?
Yeah,
what are you abandoning it for?
And what it looks like to me, if I'm being objective, what it looks like to me, it doesn't look like they're abandoning a religion for any other, organized religion. What it looks to me like is they're abandoning it for sex, pleasure,
indulgence,
and consumerism.
Everything's self-serving.
Yeah, and
which let's get back to thinking about other people again.
And that's why I think you're and if we continue down that path, you're going to see more rates of depression, more rates of anxiety, more rates of people feeling unfulfilled, even though we have more shit than we've ever had in our entire lives. I think
that's the interesting part, right?
Fascinating.
When you really think about that today the average person has more things than they ever had in history before, but yet depression is at its highest rate.
It's crazy. It's
We're
crazy.
Isolated from each other.
Yeah, like you have to worry about eating too much food now. You don't have to worry about not having food. That's a totally different, worry. Like completely different. Like, I better not eat.
Well,
too much.
I think of it as an even bigger worry because we don't have the history to look back on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have 400 years of, oh, wow, remember this culture that for 100 years they were just fucking eating processed foods and they were over-consuming. We don't have, we're creating those studies right now. We're creating all those statistics.
One thing that religion does that I think is fascinating, and I think it's taught wrong sometimes in religion, is the value of abstinence. Now, I don't mean abstinence from sex. I mean abstinence and how you apply it to certain things in your life. And religion, unfortunately, I think sometimes teaches it wrong. Like they'll say, you're going to hell if you do this or whatever. Like, okay, I don't like the way they teach that because now you're just trying to scare people. Really, it's like, for example, I'm very much into health and fitness. So that means a lot of times, most of the time, I don't eat certain foods. I abstain from them. But there's a real value in it. Besides the physical, I enjoy it much, besides the fact that I don't get fat and I don't get out of shape and all that stuff. Besides all that stuff, there's a lot of value in the fact that I enjoy it more when I do have it. And I find more value in it because I abstain from it. Our current society and culture places zero value in abstinence. It's 100% value in overindulgence. Everything. More money.
Genesis, man.
Yeah, more money, more food, more sex, more drugs, more cars, more houses, more shoes, more whatever. And there's no value being placed on not having, taking things. And it's funny how liberating. Look, you just sold most of your shit, right? You just sold a bunch of stuff. How liberating and amazing did that feel?
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's amazing. Yeah. So, look, if you go to mindpumpfree.com, you can check out some of our free guides, including, I think we have a golf guide that's on there as well, right, Justin?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's brand new. We just put it up there. So if you're, at all, a golfer, even if it's just like for leisure, whatever, like this would help you, prepare for the game and just do better overall.
Excellent. Mindpumpfree.com.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.